Well, I watched Holby City, and I have to tell you, it moved me. It did. All those people who recommended it as a shit show to watch a shit show for a month, I don't know what they were watching. I don't know where they got this notion that Holby was a shit show, because it moved me. It did. It got me right here. I'm not even joking. It was a storyline about a fireman, and he'd been injured during a rescue and was brought to Holby, and horribly cliched ditzy blonde nurse was chatting him up. She was very impressed with the fact that he was a fireman, and she kind of got out of him what had happened during this rescue that had gone wrong. And it turned out that Fireman Sam, that was your name, Fireman Sam, he told horribly cliched ditzy blonde nurse that he'd had the victim in his hands. He reached out, caught the victim, but he'd lost his footing, and the victim had fallen, and he had fallen and landed on the victim. And this was the first time he'd ever lost anybody during a rescue, and he was cut up about it. He was gutted. Tears were forming in my eyes. It was a truly heartfelt and emotional moment. And then we find out that it was a cat. His name actually was Fireman Sam, by the way, and they made a point of mentioning it more than once and making fun of it, as you do. Ditzy blonde nurse, who is seriously the most annoying character in the history of television, goes off and tells the doctor and boss nurse who used to be in Coronation Street, and they're laughing about it. This guy's traumatized, right? Regardless, because they're saying, well, didn't the cat land on its feet? Of course it did, but then he landed on the cat. This guy is traumatized, regardless of whether you think a cat's death is something to be traumatized about. The guy is traumatized. That's not up to you to decide, stern-faced doctor lady and Coronation Street nurse. You are laughing about it in the room that he is in. They're doing this thing that all shows do, I suppose. You can't really mock Holby for it, of walk 3 foot away from someone and they magically can't hear you. Horrible. Horrible. Young girl gets brought in. She's collapsed. She couldn't have blood transfusions during her operation because she's a Jehovah's Witness. Did this story on every single hospital drama ever. Get over it. But then they come up with this way of doing this operation without giving her any stranger's blood, right? What happens is they got this machine and it sucks her blood. If she starts bleeding, this machine captures her blood and cleans it and pumps it straight back into her. She's getting no one else's blood, she's just getting her own blood back, right? Fair enough, she says, we'll do this. So she goes, but then the doctor who's treating her, who by the way has the mentality of a 12-year-old, refuses to do the operation and tries to ship her off to another hospital to have it done. Why? Why? Well, her mate says it's just because you don't agree with the religious beliefs. And she's like, is that what you really think of me? Right? Because, I swear to God, these two, this bloke and her, right, they've been sniping at each other about some text message I've read. They're grown adults. They're medical professionals. Presumably, they're intelligent people, and they're acting like children over whose party they'd rather go to on a weekend. What the? Shut up! What was I saying? Yeah, she didn't want to do the operation. He talks her into doing the operation. He convinces her to do it. Not only does he convince her to do it, he convinces her to do it against the wishes of the hospital hierarchy, because in some bizarre twist of, I don't know, the hospitals decided that they don't want to do it anyway because they might get sued if it goes wrong. Because they do it against hospital procedures, and then stern boss lady comes in. Not stern boss lady from the cat conversation earlier, another stern boss lady, because none of them smiles. Anyone with any hint of authority forgets how to smile in this program. But anyway, she comes in and she goes, I hope you're prepared for the mother of all lawsuits. I said, fuck off. I think you're in LA law or something. I'll tell you who she is. She is the woman who was in The Vice, like the young, up-and-coming, ambitious young copper woman who went all sort of a bit off the rails, and she was going undercover and shagging criminals left and right. Yeah, that's who she is. I forget her name. I don't know her name. I don't know anyone's name in this program, actually, apart from Call Me Michael. Yeah. His name stuck. Call Me Michael's name stuck because everyone calls him Michael. Every single conversation anyone has with him, they use his name. Now, if someone came up to me, right, over the course of my working day, and every single time they spoke to me said, think about this, Paul. I'm going to tell you this, Paul. Paul, I want to speak to you. The thing is, Paul, it's like this, Paul. What you have to do, I think they were taking the piss. In fact, I know they were taking the piss. Now, the only thing I could come up with, I was talking about this on Twitter when I was watching the episode. The only thing I can come up with, right, the only thing I can come up with is that he has some kind of mental sort of short-term memory loss thing, and he can't remember. They have to keep reminding him subtly, so as not to offend him, of his name, just in case he forgets. That must be what's going on. I'm fairly certain. Pretty sure that's what it is. But yeah, I digressed there, didn't I? I digressed. What was I saying? Yeah, they did. They did this operation, and halfway through the operation, right, the doctor freaks out. Something goes wrong. I forget what. You know what I mean? Something always goes wrong in these things, doesn't it? So rather than, I'm sure there were procedures in place for this eventuality. The doctor starts to freak out, right? She's having sort of some kind of panic attack sort of thing. She can't do the operation. I'm fairly certain in any kind of modern hospital, there are procedures in place if a doctor freaks out during an operation to have the doctor removed from the operation. It's common sense, really. I mean, I'm not a medical professional. I did once remove a splinter from my nephew's foot when he went out in the yard without anything on his feet, and he got a splinter, and I pulled it out, and I did a little dabby and I put a plaster on it. So I've probably got as much medical knowledge as she has from the way she was operating in that operating theatre. But anyway, she didn't want to do the operation anymore. She was panicking with it. And do you know what they did? I mean, if you watched it, you'll know what they did. But if you didn't watch it, I'll tell you. Her mate, the one who convinced her to do the operation in the first place, he started singing to her. He started singing to her in the operating theatre. What was his song? I'm sticking with you. I don't know what the song was. But he sang this song to her. And it calmed her down, and we had a right old laugh. And she got back into the operation, and we did the operation together, singing along with her. It was at that point that I genuinely considered the possibility that I had gone mad. Okay, because that couldn't possibly be happening. Really, let's be honest. No one would write in a mainstream adult hospital drama about a doctor who was freaking out in an operation and only got through it by having someone sing to her while she worked. Because, I mean, you know, that's just... this program. See, I've got to watch 3 more episodes of this utter tripe. Who watches it? I tell you what, when I was asking what show should I do for Watch a Shit Show, everybody said Holby. Everybody told me it was shit. So if everybody thinks it's shit, and it patently is shit, why is it still on the air? Who is watching Holby City? That's what I want to know. Who? Anyway, I apologise. The most interesting thing I've done in this video is eat a carrot. Hopefully next week we'll have plots that make sense. Hopefully next week we'll have characters, adult characters acting like adults. Hopefully next week Ditzy Blonde stereotype won't speak quite so much in her little squeaky Joe Pasquale voice. I can't do it, but she talks like Joe Pasquale. And hopefully next week Michael will be able to remember his name unprompted. Because I'm not heartless. You know, I feel for the man. You know, if he has problems, I hope he gets better. But, yeah. We'll leave it at that, I think. As I say, not my best video. as if I've ever done a good one. And I'll be back next week. Au revoir.